We need to break up. It's not you, it's me. I've changed. I had to take it to a extreme, yeah. They all looking at me sideways. Hello, this is Sea Siren Janine, and for today's video, we are going to talk about my channel transition. Yes, that's right. I have been talking about this for over a year on my live streams and in my posts and in the comments, etc. That I want to change my content, that I want to talk about. I want to do true crime videos.
Hey, wait! This isn't Sea Siren Janine. This is Carnivore is Vegan. And here we go. Yes, that's right. Carnivore is Vegan is now taking over Sea Siren Janine's This Week in Instagram. She is moving on to bigger and better pastures, or should I say greener pastures, no pun intended. And she and I had a talk, and I asked if I could take over her This Week in Instagram, and she gave me an enthusiastic thumbs up to take that over. So this is my first foray into YouTube land, and I've been putting this off for a long time because I didn't want to learn a new skill of video editing, but it hasn't been that hard for this. So with the tips Janine has given me, hopefully I can give you some good entertainment here. And if you don't know who I am, I'm a ex-vegan also, as well as Janine, and I have been doing a lot of content debunking veganism on my Instagram page, which is Carnivore is Vegan, and you can also find me on Twitter, and I've just started on TikTok a little bit, but I don't have a lot of content on TikTok. Mainly I'm on Instagram. That's my favorite social media, and I hope to see you here on YouTube. So subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and let's be friends. I hope to entertain you. Please give me some constructive criticism whenever you have it, and I will take that into consideration as best I can with the skill set that I have. Let's start out this week with Carolyn's Colorado. I don't know if it's Carolyn or Caroline, but Caroline was a 25-year vegan who has now quit veganism. Wow. That's a lot of years. And what's interesting is she said that she is the longest vegan that she knows. So 25 years, and she's the longest term vegan that she even knows. She quit due to some health problems and is finding better health on a non-vegan diet, adding in some animal products. Good luck, Carolyn, and we'll see how you do. Keep us in touch. We'd love to know how you're doing. We're going to move on to Dr. Greger of Nutrition Facts. He says, on average, people who follow plant-based diets get 70% more protein than they may need every day. Does anyone believe that shit? I don't, especially not after looking at him. In the real world, there's a dose-response relationship between protein intake and muscle mass increase. And this is a systemic meta-analysis of randomized controlled studies. And Andreas Einfeld, MD, reported on this. And you can see this line of muscle mass. It tapers off at 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. And below about 1.3, it drops off precipitously. Above that, there's almost no limit. And this is without any resistance training. So think about that when you're having a steak, that is without resistance training, you can get more muscle mass with higher grams of protein. And speaking of professors and scientists, Dr. Donald Layman, PhD, he is a specialist in protein, and he says that we need to get at least 56 grams a day, but the benefit goes beyond muscles and most adults would benefit from eating more protein, not less, as Dr. Greger will tell you. But we all know what Dr. Greger looks like. Sarcopenic, skinny fat. Would you want to look like Dr. Greger? Who would you rather listen to, Dr. Greger or Dr. Sean Baker, who eats a lot of protein? I know who I would rather look like. But that's who vegans like to take their information from: skinny fat, sarcopenic men with neurologic problems, I believe. Plant-based news. Uh, Plant-based news talks about bees being exploited in honey production and how bad that is. That's why vegans don't eat honey or shouldn't eat honey. It's terrible. However, vegans are not going to stop eating almonds, apples, blueberries, cranberries, cucumbers, melons, cherries, plums, avocados, pumpkins, even though they used forced pollination. That's because vegans are not consistent in their philosophy, and they don't really care about bees. It's about virtue signaling. So vegans, if you're consistent, stop eating those foods. And those are just a handful of foods. Interestingly, one of the things that they say, vegans will talk about crop deaths and how crop deaths don't really count because people who eat meat have more crop deaths. Well, interestingly, about 50 billion bees are killed every year in uh, forced pollination, um, commercial pollination. They will dispute this with you and say that these are just bees buzzing around the plants, and that's not true. These are commercial bees trucked in big trucks, in hives of millions of bees at a time, going from different plants, farm to plant farm to plant farm to orchard, all over the country, and they're trucked across country. And these are forced pollination, commercial pollination, and they just don't really care about this. But hey, don't eat honey, even though this is a lot worse. Inconsistent plant-based news. Must be the plant-based news scene is so boring these days that Live Kindly has nothing else to report on other than people who are omnivores. Orlando Bloom is 90% plant-based. Woohoo! That means he's 10% omnivore. He's still eating steak, guys. He is not even a vegan. But somehow that makes the news these days. Live Kindly. Dr. Vegan. I was looking at her posts. I'd never heard of her before, but this is over on Instagram also, and I just wanted to see what she looked like. Is she thriving on her vegan diet? Well, we'll take a look. Whoa. So I saw this post and I said, hey, maybe that's just what she looked like 5 years ago too. And she looks a little pale. She's getting gray hair and her eyes look dark and sunken, but what did she look like before? So I thought I'd take a look. And this is what she looked like 4 years ago. No gray hair, at least it's hard to tell in that lighting, but her eyes look completely different and her face just looks fuller, her eyes look more lively, and look at those no dark circles. That's a big change in 4 years. Look at those eyes. She's looking awfully old in 4 years. That diet is not having her thrive. Poor Dr. Vegan. Eat some meat, Dr. Vegan. Those annoying vegans. C. Siren Janine reports on them a lot. And apparently their channel was taken down a little while ago, which is very interesting. But that's not why I'm reporting on it. If you notice, they used to do all these interviews, or at least kind of personal things of why you should go vegan and telling they had interviews with themselves. They would have posts about themselves talking, and they've seemed to have changed direction. It's really interesting. I don't know if they're just reusing old content, so they're trying to put up a bunch of stuff, But it's a lot different. They were doing posts of themselves talking, and they're not doing that anymore. Interesting. Just wondering if that'll stay like that. We shall find out in the future, I guess. Oh, Amber of the Fairly Local Vegan. Poor thing. She is 1 in 10. What does that mean? It means that she's been diagnosed with endometriosis after 17 years of pain. She says it takes 7 to 10 years on average for a woman to get a diagnosis, and it took her 17 years. And she says that's what all of her problems are coming from. Is that reality, do we think? I don't know, but this is from World Carnivore Tribe on Facebook, and these are just regular women who are on Facebook saying that they were vegan too, and they resolved their pain eating meat and by avoiding things like soybean oil that is in a lot of vegan foods. Um, and Amber is still just having tons of pain. Her every time she eats, she's in pain, and she's going to have surgery. She could just try some meat and see if that helps, but she won't. These vegans are ideological, even to their detriment. Flavia Elena Rodriguez also says that she's a meat heavy diet and her symptoms have diminished greatly just by eliminating grains, soy, dairy, vegetable oils. It's life changing. The anti inflammatory nature of the meat heavy diet and eliminating a lot of vegetable products. So sad that Amber won't try this. And here's another endometriosis sufferer who says that her going meat heavy has improved her um, symptoms of endometriosis greatly. Amber, try it. What will it do besides make you better? If it doesn't work, then you can go back to being a vegan. But if it works, why would you suffer if you could at least try it and have it help? John Venus. I thought this was interesting. He says, starting the water fast, and he hasn't posted in about 7 days. Has he been water fasting this whole time? It seems a strange time to be water fasting just as his wife is getting pregnant, as she's in her third trimester and ready to deliver seemingly very soon. That's John Venus's wife, Catherine. She is uh, got a big baby bump, so I'm curious why John is water fasting. It reminds me of Tim Sheaf and how he started doing all sorts of water fasting and things like that when he was not feeling well. He gets a lot of flack for that. They were saying that, oh yeah, well of course he quit veganism because he um, did all these water fasts and started drinking his pee, blah blah blah. Well, no, he was drinking his pee and all of that because he wasn't feeling well, and he was trying to do anything to stay on the vegan diet and fix his health problems within the vegan diet. So John, don't if you're having some health problems, just go back to eating meat. It seems like John has gone on and off eating animal products every couple of months now. Maybe he just is going to quit again. That would be lovely. Anyway, my favorite person to hate is Plant-Based Doctor. He has got to be one of the most disingenuous people I've ever ran across. He's egotistical. He has obviously an agenda. And this is his young son. I believe his older son's name is Harry. This is Tommy, I believe. And he says, I know you can't read the very bottom, but it says protein deficiency strikes again, and he has a laughy emoji. Well, he doesn't specifically state it, but is his wife not breastfeeding? Is his son really on a vegan slash plant-based diet while he's an infant who's breastfeeding? Come on, dude. Don't be a jerk like that and make up these stupid things. Your son's almost certainly being breastfed, as was his older son who just turned 3, and he keeps talking about, oh, how they're not protein deficient, they're not protein deficient. Well, of course they're not protein deficient. They ate animal products until they were a certain age. But I'm pretty sure his son is breastfed. which means he's not on a plant-based diet. He is eating animal products. I'm going to have a lot more to say about plant-based doctor in the future. He's a kind of disingenuous prick. Yes, doctor. And remember, this guy's a medical doctor, and he's not is he has to be disingenuous saying that his son is on a plant-based diet because his son is eating breast milk. So, yes, doctor, breast milk is dairy. It is an animal product. Come on. You can't be that dumb. Then we have Vegain's strength. He still has a dressing on. He said, and I pointed this out to Vegan Deterioration, and she got a message back from him saying that it was just for sun protection, but it's still been 6 months, and she pointed out that the protocol for sun protection is like a month after a surgical wound, and it's been 6 months for him. So is he lying? Who knows? We'll have to find out. But he was very sarcastic to her, saying, you're just trying to put down veganism, and I'm going to show you that veganism's the best. We'll see. Hope he's not got a big open wound, but we will certainly find out. That was 6 months ago he had his 5th hernia surgery. Should take 6 to 8 weeks to heal. It's been 6 months. Now, the vegan cyclist. This is not this week's news. This is about 3 weeks ago, I think. But take a look at this little.
Yeah! Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
Oh, dude. You good?
A week with nothing.
No way.
And he broke his femur, his hip, top of his femur.
I keep dwelling on all the different things that could have gone different, all the things that led up to me doing the dumbest thing ever, and just all these little things that it's like. Then I try to be positive about it, and the amount of luck we had on the whole trip was just unbelievable, really. And so it's kind of like the universe saying, hey, man, you've had way too much good luck. Eat a bag of dicks. And I am feasting on a bag of dicks at the moment. So I'm just going to follow along this journey of what it takes to come back from a broken femur. So stupid, dude. I keep...
So, the vegan cyclist, he broke his femur on a very soft, non-traumatic fall. You just have to watch the Tour de France and things like that to see that, these people are just falling in giant pile-ups of 100 going fast speeds, and they aren't breaking anything for the most part. They're not getting too hurt at all. Most of them walk away from these crazy high-speed pile-ups. Even motorcyclists on dirt bike riding, they don't get hurt all that often, but this guy did a very small fall, very soft fall, and he broke his femur. There's some very good statistics that show that vegans have worse bones. They get, and particularly hip breaks, but I hope he gets a bone density scan and we'll see if he's healthy or not. But that's not normal. He's a young guy, young, healthy guy. That's just not normal at all. Zoe Rooster, she is one of my favorite people to watch because she's just so deluded. Poor thing, she's only 18 years old. She looks like she's 35 or 40. I did a post on her saying that she looks like a grandma. She's 18. She's just started Berkeley, and she's been a diabetic type 1, which if you don't know what that is, please look it up. She's very sensitive about type 1 versus type 2. Type 1 means she's had it since childhood. It wasn't because she ate wrong or got obese. It's an autoimmune disease, and that she will have to live with for the rest of her life. There is no going back from it. However, you can get better and not have to take so much insulin and not have so many ups and downs. But check out Zoe Rooster, the awful, awful blood sugars that she has. And remember, she's only 18 years old. Her poor history is terrible. 500 is not uncommon for her. You'll see this play out just week after week after week after week. She'll go from 60 to 500 to 60 again to 500. Um, 500 is almost hospitalized. And you can see this, like she says, it should be a straight line. It's been a rough 24 hours. I feel pretty sick. She went from almost 300, it looks like, down to just around 100 to up to 250. So she's just on this roller coaster ride of blood sugars. She says, I love being on the verge of DKA. That means DKA is diabetic ketoacidosis. It's when type 1s or even type 2s get very, very, very high blood sugars. They get very sick and start getting ketones in their urine and blood, which for a diabetic, when your blood sugar's that high, that is very, very bad. It's very indicative that you're way too high and that you're going into metabolic acidosis. Ketones in the blood when you're just eating high protein and high fat, or high fat, low protein, or fasting is normal, but getting ketones in your blood, and DKA is a lot of ketones, not just a few ketones, and it's not from fasting, it's from being metabolically.
Have you heard of Andy?
And I wanted to point out the difference between Zoe Rooster and this guy Andy Berger, and I'll let you listen to a podcast. This is not Andy. This is someone talking about Andy in a podcast, and I'll let you listen to this.
Berger, the type 1 diabetic.
No.
You got to get him on your podcast. This kid, he's 29. The type 1 diabetic, right? Starting to get some retinopathy, some eye problems. Was up to, he's maybe 5'6" at the tops, and he was up to 235 pounds, okay, something like that. And he realized, and he heard, I think Vinnie Tortorich of all people, but he said, the carbs are killing you, kind of a thing. Started reading, started studying. Type 1 diabetic now, so he doesn't produce insulin, okay?
Sure.
Tough case, tough scenario. Anyway, long story short, in a period of 2 years, this kid is down to 135, 140 pounds.
Wow.
His A1C, Lawrence, if you know anything about these numbers, is 4.9. He's type 1 diabetic. He's down, I think, from 100 some odd plus units of insulin to 10 a day. All right? He's a type 1 who's almost insulin independent, which would be like, a journal article about some freaky thing. Anyway, and he's doing the twice a week smart. He walks every day. He's now doing carnivore, but he's now doing carnivore. He's now doing
type 1 diabetic since age 3. He's now, decades later, he's able to finally reduce his insulin dramatically and have a normal blood sugar for the first time in his entire.
So that was about Andy Berger. Go sign up and get on Andy Berger's Instagram, type 1 Berger, Berger, and you can see, look at these blood sugars. This is him all day while Zoe Rooster was going up and down and up and down, and she said it should be a straight line. He is a straight line, just about. This is normal. Anyone who would get a continuous glucose monitor, which is what this is and what Zoe had, would love to see blood sugars like that. Even if you aren't a diabetic, you'd love to see blood sugars like that. Being a type 1 diabetic, this is unheard of. And this is just fantastic stuff for him, for any type 1 diabetic. And it's because he's on a meat-heavy diet. I believe he's going carnivore. He is carnivore. And it's changed his life. So go sign up and see type 1 Berger. Compared that to Zoe's 535. And this is one of the last things on here that I just thought would be fun to highlight. This was on one of my posts, and this was a vegan Madison WG13 is a vegan, and Caru Consultoria was discussing, hey, are there roaches, mice, or rats around? What do you do? Just leave them alone? Trying to show that she's a hypocrite and doesn't love animals as much as she says. And this is a really bizarre conversation where she says, "Yeah, we see lots of insects. I live on an old farm." "Oh, you're living perfect harmony with mice, rats, and roaches in your house?" And this woman is almost disgusts me. Tell me if you think she's just lying or not, but as you see the conversation go, she's either lying or just a really disgusting person. "Yeah, the rats and mice just live in my basement, where they don't bother me at all. And when they show up hurt, I do what I'm able to help them. If they venture into my area, I move them, though that doesn't happen often." What? So they live in her basement, but they don't do anything. They don't do any harm. They don't get into her living area. What kind of magical basement does she have, or magic rats and mice? Funny, the mice and rats and the rest of the world outside your basement chew through wires, get into food stores, have feces that cause disease. Your basement must be magic. And Kuruhu Consultoria started making a joke about it too. "Oh, what a nice attitude towards rats and mice. Around where I live, these creatures aren't so nice. They bring diseases. I don't really find it very nice to have them in the house. Besides, in the rest of the world, in where there's rice and mice and rats, they get into the kitchen, into the food. They must be nice and well behaved where she is." I once left my RV in storage one time and left some food stores in there for like emergency food stores. And I had just horrible, horrible damage. They chewed through all the kitchen cabinets, they chewed through wiring. It cost me thousands to get clean up. When I took it into the RV dealership, they said one guy had rats that chewed through his piping for water piping, and it was just thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in damage. So uh, she's just on another planet. Yeah, honestly, they don't mess with my food, and I've never had an issue with diseases being brought in that she knows of. They're almost always away from the areas I live in, and the animals live outside my house, don't cause any actual issues for me or my food either. She must treat them well, and they are well behaved. How impressive. We should import some well behaved rodents from where you live to breed with the nasty ones we have in the rest of the world. She said, well, she just doesn't demonize them, and that's her secret. She doesn't think that violence is necessary. I think she's just absolutely lying, or she's just living in another world, or she just lets the rat feces pile up in her basement because you give them a nice warm place to live, and they're gonna breed and get into everything and chew through wiring. This is totally ridiculous. Her place must be just absolutely disgusting. She just gently moves them when they cause problems. Mice and rats do damage in houses. It's the reason why people eradicate them. It's not like they're not butterflies. She just lets them live in her basement. I just find that very, very hard to believe. But she must have some mental illness. Kuruhu Consultoria said, "I believe you. The Pied Piper of Hamelin left a long line of descendants. You certainly must be a member of his dynasty. That must explain why mice and rats do damage to everybody else's homes, but not yours. I always knew it must be a family secret." Well, that's all for this week in Vegan Instagram. Let me know what you think, and please like and subscribe, and go to see Siren Janine and like and subscribe to her true crime mysteries. Thanks, see Siren Janine. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing your next true crime mysteries. See y'all later. This is Carnivore's Vegan.